Hi there and welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I'm IceMan and today we are going to be talking about the fact that we have a 2x Voids this weekend. Are we excited? Yes we are. So today what we're going to do is, obviously I've already told you now, 2x Voids this weekend, great news, yay. Right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at the Voids that you could be pulling for. Obviously mainly legendaries, but we're going to take a run through a whole chunk of them and we'll see what we do for time and how it goes. So without further ado, let's dive into it, shall we? So first up we have the Bannerlords, and in this faction we have Raglan and Baron. Raglan, I must admit, is a champion I would be interested in getting. And that's really about it for this faction, but Baron's in need of a bit of a buff, I think. Not somebody I'm too interested in. Ethos, I think he's a hard hitter, so you know, this is definitely one that I'd be interested in. Bannerlord, yeah, you know, he's not really that great a champion. He's alright, sort of mid-tier I suppose, or low to mid-tier. And as we move along, oh, I've got a dot here. Yeah. Slum cleared that one for Avis. Okay. Now here, this is a faction that I really love a pull. Venus has got to be one of my top wishlist champions, because I don't have a decreased defense and weaken AoE. So for me, she would be a top tier champion, and obviously she's got poisons on her A1, making her great for clan boss. Decreased defense and weaken on an AoE. Books up to 100% chance, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown. You cannot knock this ability. To go with that, she also brings HP burn, so extra damage on the clan boss. Alright, she's no Dracomorph. Apparently he's definitely better for damage because of his multipliers and all the rest of it, but still an absolute amazing champion that I would love to pull. We got Sir Nick himself, Mr. Kringle. Very cool looking champion, great support champion. Because of the champions I've already got on my account, I don't think he'd be a big bonus. Don't get me wrong, I certainly would not be disappointed to get him. I don't have him. He's a cool champion, but he's not one I'm pulling for. He's not on the wish list. And they do actually have one that I am quite interested in as an epic here, which is Cardinal, who I've not managed to pull yet. And I would actually like a copy of her. How much I'd really use her, I don't know, but at the very least, I think I'd find her handy for faction wars. But I do think she's a cool champ, and I've been somebody who plays the game and likes to collect the champions. Obviously, I'd like to get a copy of her. Then, as we move into the Barbarians, one of my favourite factions in the game. Obviously, part of that is due to the fact that I've been quite lucky with them. Having said that, I'd still love to get my hands on Noltan, but one of my favourite champs in the game, fairly new to the game obviously at this stage, Usurga Warcaller. I would absolutely love to get this champion. Now I've got Valkyrie, she's a great defensive champion and all the rest of it, but Usurga is definitely somebody who'd round out my kit. Not a particularly nice looking champion, I mean, she was kind of cool I suppose, but yeah, she's definitely moved away from that kind of sexy, sleek Viking look that we used to for all our barbarians, you know. But very, very cool champion. I mean, look at this. Decreased defense, decreased speed. You know, all this changes obviously based on what they've got and everything, but she is an absolutely amazing champion. Ally protection, strengthen. Decreases the damage all allies receive from critical hits by 30%. She takes it instead. You know, she's got some amazing stats. Yeah, I'd really, really like to get my hands on this one and give her a try. If I pull her, I'd be absolutely chuffed. She's probably, if not top, one of my top 2 or 3 voids that I'd really like to pull. Ogren Tribes. Gogo, he's a brilliant champion. By all accounts, he does some real good work. And to be fair, he'd really helped me in this faction. And I'm doing alright for epics in this faction. But, you know, he could still really give me some support here. And that would be nice. Personally, I'd actually prefer a big one myself. But, you know, or Ignatius. Either way, I could... But again, Gogo, he hits hard, he brings freezes, so, you know, he's good for crowd control and whatnot, so good champion. Definitely would not be disappointed to grab hold of him. Obviously one of the top support champions in the game here in the Lizardmen faction, Krisk the Ageless. We'll take a quick look at his skill, shall we? So, enter the morass, attacks all enemies, has a 30% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. All his damage is based on defense. This ability, Censured Vigor, attacks all enemies, places a 50% ally protection buff on all allies except for this champion for 2 turns, places 215 continuous heal buffs on this champion for 1 turn, increases the duration of all ally buffs by 1 turn. I mean, damn, this guy does a lot. He really does. He's absolutely bonkers. Then we've got Invincible Shell, places a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn, places a 60% increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns, places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies except for this champion for 2 turns. On a 3-turn cooldown when booked. I mean, damn, this guy brings it all. And if that was not enough, I could have, yeah, and I forgot, I did kind of skipped it there, but places a provoke debuff on all enemies for 1 turn. I mean, that is massive. That is brilliant. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown. This guy can play anywhere in the game. You know, you could use him in Clan Boss, you can use him in Arena, you can use him in Dungeons. This guy will do it all for you. And he will make Faction Wars a doddle. Well, maybe not a doddle, but he's certainly going to be a huge, huge, huge help there. Then we've got Might of the Ages. At the start of each round, places a shield buff on all allies for 2 turns, equal to 50% of this champion's max HP. Has a 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff and a 50% decreased attack debuff on the attacker for 1 turn when hit. I mean, this guy's bonkers. He's probably, these days, one of the most broken champions in the game, so if you don't want him, you're kind of nuts, to be honest. What more can we say about him? He's an amazing champion. And next we have the Skinwalkers. So we've got Coronar. He's kind of a cool champion. I'd say more middle of the pack. He's not amazing. Again, I wouldn't be disappointed to get him because obviously I don't have him. And I'm always happy to get any champion I don't have. And in fact, in this faction, I really kind of struggle for Faction Wars. I don't even have Basher anymore. He was used in a fusion. So although it's showing up on my thing that I've had him, and I have, because he was using a fusion, I don't even have him. So I've basically got a few rares, a few epics, and some rares, and that's all I've got for this faction. So actually, I would be absolutely chuffed to get him. He would really help me out in this faction for Faction Wars. Even though he's not one of the top tier champions, he's still a brilliant champion. Even though he's not brilliant, if that makes sense at all. But for me, he'd be brilliant. He'd really help, you know. Then we move over into the Orcs. Now, I was already lucky enough to previously pull a Warlord. Would I mind a second Warlord? Hey, well, you know, Warlord's brilliant, so I certainly wouldn't say no. He could actually do some work for me in Clan Boss, maybe. He does debuff extension. Because he's Void, you don't have to worry about the affinities. So I wouldn't have to keep swapping him out if the wrong affinity comes up. He also brings so much support to the table, so it'd make it probably easier and more likely that I could actually put more attack on my other champions, therefore increasing the damage they do. So no, he would actually be a brilliant pull for me. Angar, he's a pretty cool champion, pretty decent, so I certainly wouldn't mind getting him. Then if we move down to the next line, we've got Demonspawn. Now, Demonspawn is another area where I've got nearly every single epic, and I'm completely lacking in all legendary champions here. I would love myself a Kaimar. I know we're talking about voids, but I have to say I really would love a Kaimar. I really would love a Duchess. You know, I really would love Candrathon now that he's been buffed and he's a damn good champion. But here we go. We've got an Aetherby Blood Twin. I always get him confused with Ethos, and I can never remember which is the really good hitter, to be honest. So I can't really say how good or bad he is. Decreases max HP. I'm not a big fan of that. A 3 hitter on his A2. Leech on his A3, and it's an AoE on a 3-turn cooldown. You could do some healing there, to be honest. If he hits hard, I'd be interested. If he doesn't, you know, it'd still benefit me, because obviously I don't have anybody from this faction, legendary-wise. I'd definitely love a Crew Traxxer. She could definitely help me in faction wars, I think. She is single target, but, you know, she's a hard hitter. So definitely would not be disappointed to pull myself a Crew Traxxer. As you can see, I've got both the Void epics in this set already, and, you know, there are a pair of good Void epics here. We'll go to the Undead Hordes. Absolutely love this faction. I think they're absolutely brilliant. Obviously, there are only 2 Void champions here, no epics, and I would absolutely love to get either one of them, a Sifi or Little Miss Annie here. I would definitely love to get Little Miss Annie. I really wanted to get her during the holiday event, but, you know, I was pulling shards and whatnot, and I didn't get the luck, so I didn't get her. In fact, I didn't get any of the 10x champs that were out that week. I could have sworn I had it turned off at the time, to be honest, but, you know, that's how it goes. Great faction, but yeah, I definitely love Little Miss Annie and Sifi. Hands down, no issue about it. If I got either of these 2, I would be jumping for joy. So let's move on to the Dark Elves. Visix the Unbound. Visix the crap by the sounds of things. Blind Seer, good reviver, good champion, a lot better since she's got a buff and her shield's better, so again, I'd actually be really happy to pull her. And moving on, so we have Night Remnants. Now, good faction for epics, not so great for their legendaries for the most part. I would love to get myself a Nama, but obviously she's not a Void, so she's not in on this one. Hegemon's great, and I do love him, and I certainly make use of him if I pull a second one in my 3v3, but I wouldn't be jumping for joy to get a second one. Frost King, you know, done a guide on him. He's a decent champ. He's not amazing. He's not top tier. I wish they'd made him a bit better than he is. But he is a very cool looking champ, and he does have some nice skills. It's just a shame he's just not a little bit better. Solus, you know, now that tank metas and stuff are coming back in, he might be a bit more decent. He's not one to be hugely too worried about getting. Again, I've got some great support in this faction already. You know, we've got Sepulchre Sentinel, we've got Miscreated Monster. So we've got some fairly decent support here. The only thing I think this faction's missing is anybody that revives. I don't know that they've got anybody at all, to be honest, without further investigation. And last but not least, we'll come to the Dwarves. Tormin. So Tormin is actually a champion I do not have, because I wasn't playing the game when they fused him last year. So I would absolutely love to pull myself a Tormin, and I would be absolutely chuffed, and he would really help me out, I think, in the Dwarves faction. To be fair, I would love all 4 of the Dwarf legendaries. I think they're brilliant. I do think they need to add more Dwarf legendaries. They seem to keep adding new legendaries to people like the Undead, who have absolutely have loads, and ignoring other factions that have only like 4. I mean, the Dwarves really need to be shown some love, I think. They've got a fair pool of rares now. They've got some really good epics. Rockbreaker, Gala, Grizzled Jarl, you know, Rearguard Sergeant. The only one that's really not that great, and he's more specialised for Fire Knight, is Birdell Fellhammer. You know, there's some nice champions here, but again, there's only 5 of them and only 4 legendaries, so they really, really need to put a lot more work into the Dwarves, I think, and really show them some love. To be honest, that's kind of what I hope they do with the Christmas thing. Bring out 3 or 4 new Dwarfs in the Epic and Legendary areas, because this is one faction that really needs to be shown some love, I think. Anyway, so that's the wish list in a nutshell. Having gone through it now and looking back, I would actually say that my top wish list is probably going to be a Surga Warcaller. But as you've seen, there are many voids I do not have, so there are many champions that I will be happy to get if I can pull them. Now, in the non-legendary area, actually, to be fair, there's also, I've forgotten, Sky Touch Shaman, good champion, brings a revive, I believe. I could be wrong on that. Revive on death. Not brilliant, but not bad. Still, pretty cool champion by all accounts, and I would find her quite useful. Now, this is a faction I've already done on Faction Wars, so you know I'm not too bothered here. And to be fair, from that regard, I almost wouldn't want a Surga Warcaller. I could almost do with some of the others more. Actually, I'm going to scratch it. I'm going to say a Surga, although she is a brilliant champion, I do want her. She's in my top 3. I would say it's probably Siphi, Little Miss Annie, and then a Surga Warcaller. Those are my top wish lists. So anyway, I wish you good luck in this weekend's Void Shard pulls. I will probably do a video on it if I've got enough to pull and make it worth it. Either way, I wish you all luck. Please wish me some luck, and we'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Click that like, hit that subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.